Every show can hope, but not every show can have a run like Grey's Anatomy. And some probably won't even make it past a single season before ending up in the network dumpster. This one has to be a heartbreaker for NBC. In an effort to ride the coattails of its streaming hit Suits, Suits LA, which is set years after the final Suits episode, features just one of the mothership's original characters, Harvey Specter, who pops in and out to advise the new characters. Instead of focusing on corporate law like the original, Suits LA is all about defending the rich in entertainment law and criminal cases.
If this is signed, I will kill for you for the rest of your life. If it isn't, I'll never think about you again.
Suits LA begins when Ted Black, played by Stephen Amell, is betrayed by his ex-law partner Stuart Lane, played by Josh McDermott. But the Ted character isn't charming enough to be the focal point of a series, and his law partners don't fit the bill either. The show debuted high in the ratings, but has sunk lower each week. Its renewal may come down to how expensive it is to make versus how many people are actually watching. We'll see if it manages to pull off the kind of trick Harvey himself would be proud of. The Hunting Party is our long-shot pick for cancellation. It's pulling in decent ratings, racking up a solid 2.9 or above every week. But if that were all that mattered, NCIS Hawaii would be celebrating another pickup. There are other factors that might result in the Hunting Party getting the axe. For example, it doesn't have a whole lot of buzz, and it's been a bad year for cop-based procedural series. With the entire One Chicago franchise waiting to be renewed, is it possible for the Hunting Party to get a second chance? Not as far as we can tell.
You should be running the BAU. Instead, you're working the day shift at the Royal Hearts Casino.
What can I say? Some people fail up.
The show is centered on FBI agent Rebecca Bex Henderson, played by Melissa Roxburgh, who's forced to team up with her ex, Oliver, played by Nick Wexler, to catch a whole lot of serial killers. The world's worst have been unleashed on humanity after an explosion in an underground prison, and Bex has to profile and catch them all before they get back to their life's work, causing death. It's doing well enough, but NBC has plenty of high-concept thrillers on its schedule. It might come down to whether The Irrational recovers from its downward rating spiral. If it doesn't, NBC may renew The Hunting Party, or it may decide that it's not worth the cost to keep it. NBC has a heavy glut of procedurals going on, and Brilliant Minds, like The Irrational, isn't standing out as anything memorable in spite of it being similarly high concept. The show's been getting over 2 million live viewers an episode. That's landed it in a fairly decent spot, but it's hard to say if it's worth renewing at this point. Brilliant Minds has faced stiff competition from CBS's NCIS franchise, and naturally has taken a drubbing from Monday Night Football throughout the fall and winter months. It feels like a big question mark, especially with the new Amsterdam spinoff waiting in the wings for an open slot in the schedule and plenty of other medical procedurals floating around. Zachary Quinto's charms are what keep audience members coming back to the series. He plays Dr. Oliver Wolf, a neurologist facing down bizarre conditions every week as he tries to lead an unruly team of interns on their rounds. Call it Chicago Med meets Chicago Hope, but NBC might not be calling for Season 2 at this rate. How cute is too cute? Take a dash of Why Women Kill, a dollop of Desperate Housewives, and a step into Ryan Murphy's Poisoned Stilettos, and you get Grosse Pointe Garden Society. This dramedy hones in on what's rotten in suburbia. In this case, what stinks are 4 members of a gardening club. Birdie, played by Melissa Fumero, Catherine, played by Asia Naomi King, Ben Rappaport's Brett, and Anna Sophia Robb as Alice, who are involved in the murder of one of their neighborhood cohorts.
My friends and I sort of murdered someone.
All 4 gardeners have secrets that make murder seem like child's play. Grosse Pointe Garden Society is putting up a 1.9 Nielsen rating or less every week. It's the lowest rated scripted drama on NBC's schedule. Even worse, after airing 4 episodes, the network has moved the drama out of its cushy 10 p.m. Sunday time slot. It's been moved to Fridays at 8 p.m., up against the ABC mega hit Shark Tank. The move's a sign that this gaggle of dirt-digging miscreants may not make it to Season 2. This is another long shot for cancellation, but Dr. Odyssey has mainly benefited from its placement between 911 and Grey's Anatomy. The only thing making it look like a decent bet for ABC is the fact that Grey's Anatomy is doing worse, managing just over 1 million viewers in its new time slot. The show's numbers aren't entirely dire, so it's possible something positive will come of its on-the-bubble status. Maybe ABC will move the show to 10 p.m. to see if it makes for a better lead-in to Grey's Anatomy. Perhaps the soapy, cheesy, and sexy adventures of Joshua Jackson's Max Bankman and his crew will keep audiences coming back for Season 2.
A great white has taken out our electrical systems. We can't move, and we can't send a distress signal.
But if killer sharks and splashy crossovers don't move your audience, it's hard to see how the show makes it another season. Poppa's House is a perfectly pleasant cross-generational sitcom featuring longtime TV vets from the Wayans family. It's got plenty of warm humor, plus enough sass and spirit to make it crackle when the show veers towards sappy. But its middling ratings haven't improved much on what the long-running Bob Hearts Abishola did in the same time slot during its last season. With meh ratings and a lack of widespread fan support for the series, it's quite possible CBS will take a gamble on another sitcom. In any event, the network's hopes for its once-thriving Monday at 8 p.m. time slot look pretty grim as the 2025-2026 season looms. A few things might help Poppa's House survive, though. It has a solid comic legacy in the Wayans family. CBS needs a strong companion for The Neighborhood to send it off to syndication. And in what may be the clincher, CBS actually owns the series. But if the network wants to bridge the gap between The Neighborhood and its perennial NCIS franchise, they might want to look elsewhere for a hit. Fox has been trying for weeks to get audiences to tune into Going Dutch, promoting it heavily on YouTube with clips popping up constantly. But in spite of the publicity blitz, it looks like the sitcom will be among the freshman series canned in 2025.
Good try.
Good try? What is this, T-ball?
The ratings haven't been stellar, and the show is losing some of the numbers that its time-slot mate, live-action Fox sitcom Animal Control, is putting up each week. Its ratings share has been a roller coaster, first up and then down. Fox clearly saw this as a major vehicle for Dennis Leary, aiming to position him in a Tim Allen-like hit that pits him against a younger generation, but that doesn't seem to be in the cards. Going Dutch is a classic fish-out-of-water tale in which Leary's Colonel Patrick Quinn is demoted and relocated to the Netherlands, where his soldierly instincts are frustrated by the fact that Garrison Stroopsdorf is a completely useless base with no strategic purpose whatsoever.
The sign makes it seem like the army base is inside the bowling alley, like one of those Starbucks that's inside of a supermarket.
It attracts party-loving, lazy types because of its cushy amenities and lack of real danger. On top of that, Quinn's liaison at the base, and the woman he's replacing as commander, is his daughter Maggie, played by Taylor Mishak. All this makes for a decent culture clash sitcom, but it's getting no love from its target audience. Jesse L. Martin could sell ice to Antarctic fishermen, but his drama about behavioral science and criminal cases has been dropping steadily in the ratings for the majority of its second season. While The Irrational is an undeniably interesting take on the procedural genre, its decline might make it a bad bet for future success. With plenty of detective stories on the network's front burner, it's likely it will be canceled. Martin is Professor Alec Mercer, who finds himself working with his ex-wife Marissa, played by Mara Hill, for the FBI. Mercer's talents are put to use profiling criminal assailants. He's a master of behavioral sciences, and he only works to track down the most wicked and dangerous of criminals. He's a consultant, and this is only his part-time job. Still, Mercer often finds himself coping with much more than your average psychiatrist, while also dealing with feelings brought about by his ex. The pull between Mercer's belief in what he's doing and what the facts tell him usually makes for interesting television. But while audiences tuned in for the season premiere, ratings have been sliding downward ever since. Even Dr. Mercer would be able to call this one a likely cancellation and the end of his adventures. An anthology series that breaks down one crime every hour with a fresh cast for each episode. Accused is a throwback to the early days of television when Westinghouse Theater and other programs turned their airwaves over to one-and-done stage productions every week. But while thousands of people tuned in for such shows back in the day, Accused is barely averaging 1 million viewers every week. While the show has definitely had a tough go of things, it had a promising start. The first episode got a post-NFL game boost, pulling in an estimated 8.71 million people. But between the SAG-AFTRA strike, which kept it off the 2023-2024 schedule, and its early Tuesday time slot, things have been on a downward slide ever since. Losing over 7 million viewers who first sampled the series so many months ago is never a good sign, and it hasn't gotten much positive press since then. The show's now on the bubble, and when Fox has a mega hit like Doc and a solid mid-season closer like The Cleaning Lady on the docket, don't expect to see much good come of this long wait for a reprieve. It will be a shame if it gets canceled, as it definitely brings an interesting premise to the table. But it doesn't look very good for the show's future, no matter which way you slice it. Fox is currently suffering from an animation domination glut. With Crapopolis and Universal Basic Guys pre-renewed for next season, American Dad coming back to the network in 2026, and stalwarts The Simpsons, Family Guy, and Bob's Burgers all likely to be renewed thanks to Hulu's symbiotic relationship with Fox, there's not a whole lot of room left on the schedule for more animated sitcoms. While Season 5 of The Great North is getting slightly worse ratings after a dismal Season 4, Grimsburg seems to be the most likely casualty of Fox's animated sitcom slate to be unrenewed.
I only got one rule. I don't play by the rules. Even that one. So I play by the rules. My rules.
Lacking a strong pop cultural foothold, often coming off as a direct ripoff of Sledgehammer, and lacking the fan cachet that The Great North has, the series isn't clever about its police parodies and doesn't stand out enough among its brethren to make you want to watch more. Being one of the network's lowest-rated offerings also doesn't portend well for its future. Fox has a tendency to cancel its mid-season animated offerings. Everything from Duncanville to Housebroken to Bless the Hearts has met the axe since they decided to air sitcoms as springtime fare, and Grimsburg has never made it off the bench as a fall offering. All this may mean it won't make it to 2026, but time will tell.